If you don't know, Perfectly Pastry is made up of 3 people. It's me, my mom, and my sister, and we are located remotely from each other. My mom lives in St. Louis. My sister lives about 45 minutes away from St. Louis in Illinois, and I live really far away from the rest of them. I'm in Florida. And so every summer I go back up north to visit family, which means the Perfectly Pastry team will be together again starting next month. I actually visit my family, and then I visit my husband's family, who is in Chicago. So if you've watched my lives before, you probably already know that about my family. And if not, well, now you know. So if you're like, well, I caught you live and then all of a sudden I saw a bunch of videos, what happened? That is because I'm going to be traveling. I usually go live every Wednesday. It's just that I can hop on here and connect with all of you, but I cannot guarantee that will be possible. So I just wanted to give everybody a heads up now. Definitely come back, check out our videos that I will be posting. I just can't guarantee that they will be live. So that's exciting. I'm really excited to go home and see my family. I miss my mom, I miss my sister, and I'm super excited for us to be in the same room and start thinking and powwowing together and not necessarily on Zoom. So that's exciting. I haven't seen them since March. I had to go back for a funeral, so it wasn't even like I got to go back for a fun occasion, and then prior to that it was last summer. So I'm excited. All right, so this week for our Express Bakers Bundle, if you want to know what that is, every week we bake a little bit extra for you so that you can place an order for some single individual items. So usually we only sell our items in half dozen and dozen, and that's because we have to schedule time in our kitchen to bake. But every week we bake a little bit extra so that we can sell some individuals. So if you're looking for a mixture of pastries, you are like, well, I wanted some muffins, but I wanted some keto cookies, we got that in our Baker's Bundle. And so every week we bake a little bit extra, and then it is there and available for you to order. It is based on a scheduled pickup, and that is to ensure that the product is ready and that we are there for you during the time frame that works for you. So we do pickups Monday. I did that last week too. It's not Monday. I'm just talking out of my hiney at that point. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 6 to 9, and then Saturdays from 10 to 2. So when you order, we will send you our availability so that you can get that scheduled for your pickup that week. So this week we have our raspberry lemon scones, blackberry lime scones. We have some keto chocolate chip cookies. We have our lemon poppy seed muffins, and then we have some chocolate chip muffins. So if you're thinking, this weekend with 4th of July, I don't really want to make breakfast, well, we've got some pastry boxes that you can grab. If you go and check out our page, you'll see our pinned post, and our pinned post will include all the available items that we have for that week. That pin will be there every single week. I update it every Wednesday after my live. So if you are ever interested in what we have, check it out on our Facebook page. It is there for you. All right, so today is the first of the month, which means our newsletter is going out. I usually try to send our newsletter out at the very beginning of the day, and I am slacking. I slacked them out last month too. Yes. I slacked, whatever. I'll have it out to you guys today. It will tell you everything that is going on in the month of July that we currently have planned for Perfectly Pastry and some of the things that went on last month. Like my sister and I, we have been leveraging healthy competition. If you want to know what I'm talking about, seriously, check out my live last week where I talked about that. So my sister did beat me. She beat me by, I think she beat me like 5 or 6 extra followers than I got. So the gauntlet has been thrown and it is on, and I am so going to blow her out of the water this month. So you guys follow us along on Facebook and Instagram. If you're not following us on Instagram, you really should. We are trying to grow our numbers on Instagram. It's at Perfectly Pastry. Facebook is the only one that is at Perfectly Pastry Bakery. Yes. If you want to know why I'm like, yes, check out some of my other lives and see why I have that weird face and that weird voice, because there is a reason for that. Anyway, so my sister totally beat me, so kudos to her. I did push her pretty hard, but I've already been like, boom, here's what I've done for the day alone, and it's only the first day of the month. So we will see how I do compared to her. So definitely check back, see what's going on. All right, so last week we talked about Pinterest. The week before that, we talked about Instagram. Today, I thought I would talk about Twitter and what we do for Twitter and what we do for Twitter with our bakery. So, Twitter is pretty cool. It's global, so that's really awesome. It's outside of your little small group. You can reach a wide variety of people. Twitter is loud, though. If you've ever been on Twitter, things happen so fast and it's changing and moving all the time, and that's exciting and cool and sometimes a little overwhelming. To stay active on Pinterest, unlike your other social media, you need to be posting 10 to 15 times a day. That is a lot of stuff to come up with. It's like, oh my goodness, I don't even know with everything else that I'm doing, how am I going to talk to people 10 to 15 times a day? Like, what am I going to say? And tweets only last 18 minutes. Like, that's the average tweet time. So unlike Facebook and Instagram and all those where you post and it can last hours, it can like repopulate on people's pages a couple days later, like it doesn't quite work like that on Twitter. And so it's like, what am I going to do? I want to use Twitter, but how do I stay active on Twitter? So I'm going to tell you what we do to stay active on Twitter. I told you before, we schedule our pins for Pinterest. And we actually schedule our post for Instagram. And we do the same for Twitter. We use a website called IFTTT. And I'm totally going to mess this up. I do it every time. If this, then that. And there are applications that you can use so that every time you do something, it triggers a response to post. In our case, we post on Twitter. So whenever a pin posts to a certain board on Pinterest, it automatically triggers a tweet. Whenever we post to Instagram, it automatically triggers a tweet. Whenever we create a new blog post, it automatically triggers a tweet. We also have a few standard tweets that go out throughout the day. What this does is this guarantees that we are currently posting 10 to 15 times every single day and staying relevant. It allows us some freedom to go onto Twitter and naturally use Twitter without being like, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? I'm so stressed. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. This is too much. Okay. So we do tweet on Twitter. We do send out tweets that are just random. Sometimes it's like, oh my goodness, we did this, or oh, you should check this out, or we found this really cool thing, or whatever it may be, or we're here today. We do a lot of natural tweets on Twitter, but not enough to stay consistent. And so that's why IFTTT.com. Look in the description on this video. You'll see the website. You can just click on it and go straight there. So we use that to consistently post to Twitter so that we can stay relevant on Twitter. Now, like every other social media, you need to be engaging on Twitter. You can't just post and pray that people just find you willy-nilly. So I do engage. I usually take about 5 to 10 minutes, at least 3 to 4 times a week, where I sit down and I like and retweet a bunch of stuff that I find interesting. So like I'll be on there and I'll scroll and I'll start liking and tweeting. We share a lot of recipes on Twitter, obviously, because we're a bakery. That's one thing that we do a lot. So I just kind of scroll through and I like and share a bunch of things, and I take about 5 to 10 minutes. Honestly, I do this a lot of times, like when I'm in between projects or I'm taking a break or whatever. You know, when you're mind scrolling on Twitter, or mind scrolling on social media, a lot of times I'll go and do my Twitter stuff then. So just because we're posting, we still have to do the engagement part. That still requires us to do it actively, but we don't spend a whole lot of time doing that. And we still grow our Twitter account. We grow by just kind of basically putting it on an automated system. We grow at least 100, 200, sometimes even 300 Twitter followers a month. I'm just doing it that way. So we have it just kind of going on the backside, and then we just kind of follow up here and there, tweet whenever we feel like it. Sometimes we'll share videos and things like that. We also post we have it set so our YouTube videos automatically post and our podcast automatically post to Twitter. And that works great for us. So I say schedule, but really I'm not having to actually schedule extra for Twitter. Once I schedule my Instagram, once I schedule my YouTube videos, once I schedule my podcast, once I schedule my Instagram, then it automatically all starts posting to Twitter and I don't have to think about it. So then when I go to Twitter, I'm going there to use the social media organically. Like I'm just going there to do stuff. I'm not stressed like, what am I going to post about? What am I going to talk about? I save that for my other social media accounts. No, not really. I'm a huge proponent of recycling stuff that I've already done. I've talked about this before, but after I was making Facebook Lives, and then I would turn around and write a blog post based on what I was talking about on Facebook. And then I would turn around and recreate a whole new video, don't even ask, for YouTube. And then I would seriously record something separate for a podcast after wasting so much time doing that. I no longer do that. I have totally mastered and I completely understand the importance of repurposing, recycling, reusing things I've already made. So I post a lot of different things to our social medias. I look at social media, like I'll say, okay, Pinterest, we are focused on these type of customers. On Instagram, we're going to be serving these type of customers. On Facebook, we serve these kind of customers. And then Twitter's kind of my catch-all. I just am like, everybody come love us here on Twitter. But those other guys, I really stay focused and I let everything just kind of flow into Twitter. And by gearing like Facebook towards these customers, Instagram, these customers, I'm creating different material for all of them, but then I can reuse some of the material I've used, say on like Facebook onto my Instagram, or my blog posts onto my Instagram or into my Facebook. And so I'm not constantly thinking of new stuff for every single social media account. So, I mean, I kind of went off a tangent. I was not going to talk about that. It's something that I will save for another day, like what I do, especially now that I've realized that I can do a Facebook Live and then upload that video to YouTube, and then YouTube will transcribe it for me and I can just turn that into a blog post, and I'm no longer having to do it the other direction. I can't even tell you guys like some of the things that I've discovered, but I will definitely share them. It's just a little too much to share right now. Then I kind of gave you a brief overview. So again, this is what we do for Twitter. We schedule all of our other social media, and then we use the ifttt.com. It's also an app to feed all of our other social medias into Twitter so that we can globally reach out to everybody and help anybody and everybody who wants to connect with us, who's wanting to improve their baking, who wants to improve their bakery business, who is like, I'm on keto, I would love some of your products, or I'm in St. Louis and I'm hosting this, I would love to order from you guys. So that's what we use Twitter for, is kind of like a catch-all. Come find us. And like I said, on our engagement, it's 5 to 10 minutes, about 3 to 4 times a day. Just like when I'm like, oh, you know what, I haven't been on Twitter lately. Let me go check out what's happening. And then I go and I share and I like and retweet. So that is definitely what I do. So we talked about Instagram, we've talked about Pinterest, now I've told you how we do Twitter. So next week I will kind of go over a little bit what we do for Facebook and kind of how we use Facebook in our baking business. But for Twitter, like I said, it's really great just to kind of feed your other social medias into that, and it's not something that you have to continuously think about, so that when you go to the platform, when you're going to use it, you're using it organically and you're creating a community organically and not going, what am I going to talk about? How am I going to come up with 10 to 15 things to say all day long, every single day kind of thing? Because like every other social media, you have to stay consistent. You need to be consistent. When I go into our social media analytics for Twitter and I see somebody hasn't tweeted in like 180 days, I'm like, what? And I unfollow them. I do it all the time because I'm like, this is either a bot or they're not active. Like, I don't even know what's going on. So it's so important to stay active on your social media. If you're doing anything, stay active. And this is a great way to help you stay active. All right. So that is all I have to say today. If you haven't signed up for our newsletter, you have a little more time to do so, because I will be sending that newsletter out soon, and then I won't send out another one until August. Please remember, I am going to be pretty intermittent on my lives. I'm really going to try to stay consistent, but between camping and traveling to Missouri and then up to Chicago, I'm not sure that I'll have service and all of those sorts of things, or that I'll have a place to do it. I mean, I obviously will have a place to stay, but it's a little different going to somebody else's house and be like, oh, can y'all be like completely quiet and give me a room to myself and let me just use it for, however long I'm going to be on my live. So just keep that in mind. I am looking on doing a live with my mom and my sister. We are going to do it over at Instagram. So I'll post something on Facebook like, hey, we're going to go live on Instagram. Come and check us out. So if you're not following us, you definitely need to hop on Instagram. Psst, my sister didn't get any lives while she was managing Instagram. So hopefully you guys will hop over and follow us, and it will boost my numbers over her. So at the end of the month, I can be like, meh, 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 meh. All right, you guys, have a wonderful rest of the week, and I will talk to you guys later.